Happy morning, dear friends. Here's yours, Dr. Rajanta. Welcome to Demystify with Ajay. Today we are in tutorial 6 of Data Science and Machine Learning series, and let me just look on to loop functions, that is loop statements today. Okay, if a question is asked to you or if any statement is given as write the first 100 numbers, and what would be the assumption? And see here, dear friends, there are several assumptions implicit in this seemingly simple command. The first is that you all know where to start, so namely at number 1. And the second assumption is, yeah, we know where to end, yeah, at least at the number 100. And the third is that we understand that they should count by 1. So in programming, in this set of instructions may be executed with a loop. So there are three keys components to most loops, and here they are. The first one is the start of the loop, the second is the end of the loop, and the third is the increment between numbers in the loop. And see here, dear friends, the Python distinguishes between two fundamental kinds of loops. One is while loop and next is the for loop. Let me just see it. We start with the while loop. In while loop, a designated segment of code repeats provided that a particular condition is true. When the condition evaluates to false, the while loop stops running. The while loops print out the first 10 numbers. So you could print the first 10 numbers by implementing the print function 10 times. But using a while loop is more efficient and it scales easily. And see here, dear friends, we are having the exact code snippet here. It is provided. That is, first it starts with the initializing. That is I equals 1. Next, here we are having the while condition. That is I is less than equal to 10. And third, we are having the incremental statement I plus 1, where inside between that we are having an instruction that to print it, that is to execute if this condition is true. So let I just execute this. Yeah, we are having the first list of 10 numbers, and see here how this breakdown is happening. The first one is initializing the variables. And see here, dear friends, loops need to be initialized with the variable. The variable is going to change throughout the loop. So the naming of the variable is up to you. So I is often chosen because it stands for incrementer. And here it is the example I equals 1. Now set up with the while loop. So the while loop starts with the while keyword, and following while is the chosen variable. After the variable comes the condition that must be met for the loop to be run. So, and in general, the condition should have some way of being broken. So when counting the exact condition, and see here, yeah, here it is. So when counting the exact condition usually indicates an upper limit, but it could also be broken in other way, that is which is not equal to. So here we have just provided less than or equal to. And this line of code is the most critical piece of the loop. It sets up how many times the loop is expected to run. An example is while I is less than or equal to 10. And next comes the instruction. The instruction include all indented lines after the colon. So anything could be printed or anything could be executed. So any function could be called and any number of lines may be executed. It all depends on the program. As long as the code is syntactically correct, generally speaking, anything goes. So this part of the loop is going to run over and over as long as the condition is true. And here is the example. So print I. And next comes the incremental. That is, the incremental is a crucial part of this example. So without it, the preceding condition will never stop running. So it will print ones endlessly because 1 is always less than 10. And here you increment by 1. But you could also increment by 2 or any other incremental, or an example here it is provided I is plus equal to 1. And see here, dear friends, as I have just specified here, even if you just didn't provide the incremental, what it happens? Here I have just given you the example. Here, see here, x equal to 5. So the variable x here I have just initiated with 5, and here we are just giving the while condition to be the upper limit as 20, and next it's just going to print the x. As we didn't provide any incremental statement here, what it just, yeah, it just going to keep on running. And see how the cursor is moving, it just keep on running and keep on executing the 5 alone, because 5 is less than 20. It doesn't having any incremental. So let I just forcefully stop this by stopping the kernel. Yeah, it happened. So I just forcefully stopped because it is it is having an infinite loop. How we have just done is by making this with an incremental. Here I have just provided that incremental with 5. Yeah, obviously you can just also make it, and here is our executed output. Next comes the break statement. See here, dear friends, break is a special keyword in Python that is specifically designed for loops. If placed inside of a loop, commonly in a conditional, break will immediately terminate the loop. And it doesn't matter what comes before or after the loop. So the break is placed on its own line and it breaks out of the loop. So to practice, you should print the first number greater than the 100 that is divisible by 17. So here it is the exact example. Let I just give you the execution. See here, dear friends. Here how it happens is, the idea is that you are going to start it with 101. Why? Because 101 is the one which we are just making it with an incremental of x plus equal to 1. So once on entering into the while condition itself, it just makes the incremental. And next it just has that assuming you don't know where to stop it. So anyhow we are just going to give somewhere to keep it on to that of break. So once on making the first condition itself, see here we are just having the second indentation in this, and it is just a if loop that is inside a while condition. And this one just to check whether the exact number is divisible by 17 or not. So as the first number which is incremented or entering into the loop is 101, which is not divisible by 7, so it just makes it to run the execute, or makes the iteration again, or it just increment the loop, and now the number it just becomes as 102. And if the condition it now it is checks for whether it is divisible 17, yeah, once it is done it makes the break statements. And see here, dear friends, this break statement will just terminate the loop, and you can set our upper bound to some number that you know will never reach, and break out the loops when you just get that. And next let me just move on to the for loop. This for loop, yeah, it is similar to while loop, and uh, but they have some additional advantages, such as being able to iterate over strings and other objects. So let me just make here with an example. See here, dear friends, the first one is we want to utilize this for loop, and we want to print this exact string one by one. So we would just want to make this for loop, and this for keyword often goes within the keyword, and the I variable is in generic, and the phrase for I and for and in. It just means that Python is going to check what comes next and looks at it individual component. The strings are composed of characters, so Python will do something with each of the individual characters. So in this particular case, Python will print out the individual character as per the print of I statement. So see here it is the output. And just when on coming, what if we want to do something with a range of numbers? Yeah, can for loop be used for that? Absolutely. Python provides another keyword, range. And to access a range of numbers, range is often defined by two numbers, the first number and the last number, and it includes all numbers in between. Interestingly, the output of the range includes the first number but not the last number. Let me just see it with this code snippet. See here, dear friends, we want to print. That is, here we use the lower bound 1 and the upper bound here it is 10. And the range of the print here, how it just going to be is 1 to 9. Yeah, till 9 it is just going to make the range. And here it is our output. And the range does not print the number 10. Okay, now let me just make use of it. So see here, if we want to use the range with one bound only, that is the number 10. So here also we can just specify, without that also we can just make it only the upper bound alone. So how this happens is for I in range of 10. And this also be executed in the same manner. So there's, and here see, we doesn't have the exact value of starting, and so the print this range of 10 will print out the first number, for that is first 10 numbers where it's starting with 0 and ending with 9. So now let's say that you want to count by incremental to. Yeah, you can just make it. So here it is our third bound, a step increment. So to count up or down by any numbers that we can be desired. And here I have just provided that is that is I that is going to be in the range with 1 to 11, and it is just going to increment it by 2 and see how the executed output would be. So it just starts with 1 and it just makes the increment of 2 and it execute here, and you can count down using negative numbers, and which is shown here. Even though you can make use of negative instead of incrementing, yeah, you can also make use of negative numbers. Here is our example. See here, dear friends. So when on just making in reversing the order, our starting bound is 3 and here the lower bound is 0, and the negative numbers which we are just going to make use of is -1. So here our output would be 3, 2, 1. Okay, next here is the one we can just making use of some numbers, some letters in the string functionality. And yeah, let me just have it with nested loops also. Of course, it is very much useful to make it some more additional functionality when we just make use of nested for loop. And here it is the one. See here, dear friends, first in I range, so I'm just going to have this as 2, that is I need to be printed twice. What you want to be printed? Here is our I, something which you are just going to get it in the name. And what is the name? The variable which it just gets the value query, and it's just going to print it one by one it within the loop. And this loop, yeah, it is going to make it twice. That gives here as the executed program. Fine. And next comes the one continue statement. See here, dear friends, continue is another Python keyword desired for loops. So when Python reaches the continue keyword, it stops the code and goes back to the beginning of the loop. So continue is similar to break because they both interrupt the loop process. But break terminate the loop, continue continues the loop from the beginning. And see here, dear friends, how this is happening. So here is the one. I just want to make my number which is in the range of 10 towards the 100, and here I just want to make it only the prime number to be entered, and that's too I just need a 2-digit prime number. So when I'm just making, so if it is 2, so how it just make it is the first number to check is 10. So here the first line to see if 10 is can be divisible by 2. No, it's not. So since 2 does not divide 2, we go inside the condition and reach the continue keyword. Executing continue returns to the start of the loop. Now the next number which is checked is 11, and see here, dear friends, this 2, 3, 5, 7 which is not divisible, divide 11, you reach the final line and print the number 11, and then next it just goes on printing till it just reaches the 100. Here it is. So this is the exact 2-digit prime number which we got executed. Okay, see here, dear friends, we have just discussed related to the important keywords such as range, in, if, and with some true and false condition. And going forward, you now have the key fundamental skills required for all Python programs. And next, coming up, you will learn how this exact important Python types, which is including list, dictionary, tuples, and sets are all there. Okay, hope you have just enjoyed this session. Thank you, friends, and have a nice day.